How's it going, YouTube? Coming in today with another video, and today, guys, what the brand is going to be Striker Orcust. Now, this deck is really cool. It was an insane deck back in TOS format. I do want to give a huge shout out to Imperium, Dragonshield, Gem, Cloud, RW, Grimoire, and ChainLink for just allowing me to keep going forward with my channel and be able to post so much more content for all of you. I am currently just in shock with the ban list, but I do want to make sure that I give you a really cool deck list that you can start testing. Striker Orcust is, of course, one of the strongest decks that we've had. This is one of the decks that just had a ton of consistency. Did win a YCS, maybe more. I'm not too sure. I know it won Pasadena. But at the same time, this is such a crazy deck with the amount of cards we have nowadays versus what we used to have. So I do hope that you enjoyed this list. We're going to be going through card by card and talking about why I'm putting in the cards that I am, because I do want to make sure that you have a better understanding. But we're still going to be playing the deck very similar to how it was. But now we have cards like Thrust and Talent and what have you. So the deck is already really resilient to hand traps, which is really cool. It has a lot of different lines around them. But at the same time, now we have cards like Talent and Thrust to go ahead and play through them. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with that. To start things off here, I'm going to start off with the Orcust cards. So the Orcust cards is going to be starting off here with the Wand. And then, because this, not an Orcust card, it is an Orcust card. We'll consider one, and then we'll play the 1 Bombard, we'll play the 2 Symbol, the 1 Harp, and the 3 Orcust Nightmare. We are going to go ahead and just do all the Orcust cards at once. And we'll explain why we do the ratios that we do here. Okay, so we do have the 2 Galateo, the 2 Ding, and the 1 Longirsu. Longirsu, you don't really summon this a whole lot. You summon this only one time usually. The 2 Ding is just mandatory. It's just such a good card. You want to make sure you have it. And then also the recyclability between all 3 of these is really nice to be able to get all your Orcust cards back. At the same time, too, we only run 2 of the Girsu because we are going to be running the Armonite and we're going to be running Dark Gruffer. These cards are going to be really important to our game plan here, as we do want to get our Orcust cards in the graveyard as soon as possible. The 1 Bombard, you just want to play it because it does allow you to get another one from hand and keep extending. We, again, only played the 2 because I didn't want to have so many starters in the deck, and you'll see how tight the deck actually gets here. So playing 4 is perfectly fine, plus the Girsu is searchable, so definitely fine as well. Here we're going to be talking a little bit more about our Striker engine too. So the Striker cards, you're going to be really surprised, but we don't play a lot of them. So we're just going to be playing the Drone and the Anchor. We're actually going to be siding the Shark Cannon and siding the Burner. I think this is perfectly fine because the Shark Cannon is only going to be really good in the matchups where you're in like a mirror or the matchups that are really graveyard focused. Whereas like the Burner is going to help a lot more in your control matchups. But these are going to be your standard ones. You got to understand too, like Striker cards are just inherent bricks. So the more that you play, the more that you're just risking bricking out your hand with an already very bricky engine. So I'd cut down on those as much as possible. And siding other Striker cards is perfectly fine. We used to always side Jamming Waves, so this is no different. Just siding these 2 because they're for different purposes against different matchups, and I think that's perfectly fine. So the next thing I'll do here is go about the hand traps. I am playing 3 Ash. I am playing 3 Nibiru. Nibiru is really crazy because you can just summon Nibiru on your opponent, normal summon an Orcust monster, and then go directly into Galatea, which is already really nice. Now we are playing 2 Valor because I am playing the Selene line for the quick kill line through Dark Charmer Selene into your access code, which is already really nice too. It's something that we see a lot in Striker related lists or even just in lists that have a lot of low power in them. As long as there's any kind of spellcaster in the deck list, usually you're just fine, right? But at the same time, I do really enjoy this hand trap lineup. I think that it'll be perfectly fine. Now you'll see why this deck list is going to be really consistent though. We already have 2 Orchestrated Return. We do have 3 Allure, and we do have 3 Upstart. That is a beautiful thing to see here, It's just so crazy with the amount of draw power we have. Now, I know a lot of people are probably really worried about Droll and Lockbird because that card also didn't get banned, but at the same time, if you're really worried about Droll, you can side Crossout. But even now, like, there's so many crazy cards that people lose to, and they're still not siding Crossout for them. So, like, it's probably just cope to side the Crossout, but at the same time, like, you can if you really want to. I don't really think that it's super necessary. We are going to be playing the Thrust and the Talent, as I had previously mentioned. So we're going to be playing the 3-1. Perfectly fine. This is your standard ratio, even in Striker, so not really something that we need to change. Foolish Burial, of course, is just going to tie the deck together. And then the last card here is going to be Gizmek Orochi. So this is a card that we were summoning a lot back in the other deck, just because Gizmek is such a crazy card overall, and what you lose off the top of your deck really doesn't matter when most of your materials are already in rotation by the time you summon this. So very strong card overall. Also being able to just banish 3 cards face down, destroy a face-up monster, still a very relevant effect. So I really do like this card in the deck still. Alright, so finishing up the sideboard here, we are going to be playing 2 Pinkertops because this card is broken, and now we have 2 of it, so you already know we're going to be playing that. 2 Crow, it's probably going to be a lot more graveyard focused in this next format, so I would say to go ahead and side deck Crows or Bishals. Up to you. The Babel really will be a problem with that because they can go ahead and just like quick effect banish out of their grave anyway. But you can force interactions like a summon of Dingirsu. The other thing too is you really want to make sure you're playing Cosmic. If we're back into an Orcust format, this is so important. If your opponent puts up a Ding and you activate Lightning Storm, you're just going to be looking at your opponent like, oh, I can't believe it just did that. You want to make sure that you do have Cosmic. It is really important. It trades with the Crescendo. It will also trade with the Babel. So really nice card to have here. And the last one's going to be Droplet. Going second pitching Orcust cards is kind of broken. So definitely going to be really important. It's also really good for your spell count with Striker. But the list itself, really consistent already. So I'm glad that I was able to put this out so quickly for you all, so you have a great idea of what you should be picking up, what you should be testing, and what you should be playing. Going on to the extra deck here, though, we are going to be playing that Selene line with the access code. So the other thing, too, that was brought up in chat, which I totally forgot about, was Zeroboros. So we're going to be playing Zeroboros, but we're also going to be playing Bomber. Bomber Zeroboros with the quick effect of summon and then also like a Gizmek is kind of crazy. These 2 cards are an absolute menace in the formats when they're relevant. So I heavily recommend that you go ahead and play those as well. We are going to be playing the IP and the SP. You need some really good cards to end on with your end board. Again, your end board doesn't really have to be that crazy. You just have to put up enough interaction to not die, then kill in the follow-up turn, right? You can play Boral Sword if you want. That was a card that was really common in this, but at the same time, you don't really need it. Still really cool, though. 1 CAG, you don't really need more than that. I wouldn't recommend more than that. 1 Barricade Borg Blocker, just to be able to get cards out of your hand. Dark Charmer as well here. And then for our last one is going to be the Nightmare Unicorn. Again, just another way to get pieces out of your hand and be able to threaten cards on the board. Overall, though, I'm really proud of this list. I'm really happy with it. I think that it's going to be really consistent for a lot of you, especially those that want to play Striker again. Understand that it's not going to be Striker, really. It's just going to be like Striker Orcust, which is already going to be a really strong deck, too. I do think that the format was really interesting with the new ban list. We will be doing a separate video talking about what the implications of the ban list were. But overall, I do think that Pearly is still going to be around. We'll still see Unchained a little bit. I don't believe the deck was hurt as bad as people think it was. We still will see a lot of Labyrinth, and that's going to be this deck's kryptonite. So if Labyrinth becomes really popular with rollback, we're probably going to be playing a lot of Bells and a lot of Ashes. So we'll see. Potentially even Super Poly, because Super Poly is an amazing card into Labyrinth. So definitely going to be an interesting time. You could play another Crow to be able to target the Q Clock out of your opponent's graveyard. But I do think that's going to be our worst matchup by far. Overall, though, I do think this is going to be interesting. The hand trap lineup might change. We might even have to main deck draw if it becomes really necessary. But I do like the Veiler. I know a lot of people are like, maybe we don't need Selene, but at the same time, Selene's really nice because you can always like summon on your opponent's turn to not be dark locked. And then you can just go ahead and go directly into your Selene anyway, right? With Dark Charmer, which is going to be really nice. Dark Charmer is going to be really important in this next format. Bishals are going to be really nice, but at the same time, DD Crow, I think, might be a little bit better. I think that it just has a lot more implication into the format. Overall, though, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the list, definitely let me know down below in the comments. Again, thank you to all my sponsors, and thank you to all of you for just being here. Post a ban list especially. I'm going to be able to bring all the content for you that you'd want. And if there's anything that you're missing out on, let me know. I'll try to get a video up on it because this format is going to be really crazy. I really am happy that we got a bit more activity out of being able to play Striker cards, but again, not exactly what we were hoping for. It's kind of just like, we're happy, but it's okay, right? Because Striker Orcust was never a deck that I actually wanted to play. I always played Striker or like Striker Draco, which I did like a lot. That deck was crazy. But at the same time, I do hope that you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you all so much.